Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the virtual breakfast sessions. I'm Larry Sashin, and today we put together a great group to discuss social media in my restaurant. But before we do that, let's thank the person who's paying our bills today, Ed Flanagan and the ERA Group. Hey, guys, everybody out there, it works very, very hard for their money. But as someone once told me, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. And if you want to keep that money, call Ed Flanagan and the ERA Group. They will sift through your invoices and contracts and make sure you're getting exactly what you're paid for. So the ERA Group, call Ed Flanagan. Back to our show. Hey, social media for my restaurant. Now, a lot of people, especially people my age, don't understand what social media can bring. But before we do that, let's go around the room and introduce ourselves. Shawn, why don't you start?
My name's Shawn. I own Cali Barbecue in San Diego. We have three locations: stadium location, Navy-based location, and our main master smokehouse and media center. We've been in business for 18 years and really excited to talk about social media, the myths, the secrets, and hopefully inspire somebody to start using the tools that are readily available in their pocket.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Rev, say hi.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ciancio. I am a fractional CMO for multi-unit restaurant brands. So I help brands with multiple locations oversee their marketing strategies and tactics. I'm also the co-founder, co-owner, and CMO of a quick service hamburger restaurant in New York City called Handcraft Burgers and Brew. We do smash burgers, French fries, deep fried hot dogs. If you're in New Jersey, that's called a Ripper. I'm also a content creator. I have a podcast, a LinkedIn newsletter, and I have a couple 100,000 followers on social media where my mom would tell you I point at pizza.
Okay. Hey, Zeb, say hi.
Hey everyone, Zev Godkin, founder of Ospito Marketing. We're a full-service PPC digital advertising agency for the hospitality space.
Hey, thank you. Fred,
Fred Klashman, editor and publisher of Total Food Service. Good morning.
how are you? And once again, I'm Larry Sashin. Back to our show. So, people of my age don't quite understand the excitement of social media. Shawn, why don't you start enlightening us?
Sure. I would argue, Larry, that the problem with social media is perception. It's thinking that it's something that it's not. When we say social media, we think Facebook, we think TikTok, we think Snapchat, we think Instagram. We think about all these things that don't make sense to us. But I would argue that we're here doing a live show on Zoom, and you knew nothing about Zoom 5 years ago. Yet here we are broadcasting audio, video, words, and images. And that's really all social media is. You have to remove the logo. You've got to get rid of the fear of whatever your perception is of Facebook, whatever your perception is of LinkedIn, whatever you think about YouTube. None of those things matter. What matters is that there's people, customers, not just global customers, but hopefully local customers, because this is for a local audience, local customers. And when it gets down to Cali Barbecue, I remember making fun of social media in 2008 and 2009. My business partner, one of my best friends from college, Corey Robinson, I was asking him, we were struggling as a restaurant. And I told him, what are you doing on Facebook? Are you just trying to pick up girls? And his response was, no, I'm just checking out the platform. And then once I realized we didn't have anyone in our restaurant, maybe I can use Facebook to tell our local community that we have great barbecue, we're doing a barbecue festival, we have breakfast, we have drinks, start telling our story. All of a sudden, people started to come in because they saw our posts on Facebook. And I remember early on, a lot of restaurant owners that I was friends with, they had a problem with Yelp. And I said, what's the problem with Yelp? Why don't I just start responding to the reviews, not just the good reviews, but the bad reviews? So when you look at social media as a whole, it's come a long way where we are in 2025 compared to when the first iPhone came out in 2007. But I would argue that everyone, myself included, we underestimate the power of all of these tools that are in our pocket, all of these platforms. I mean, everyone knows what CBS is, the TV show, CBS, Paramount. That just sold for $8 billion. $8 billion. CBS, which includes so many different media properties, including Paramount. Twitter sold for 44 billion. 44 billion versus 8 billion. That tells you a lot of what you need to know about where the attention is and where people are. And, I'm happy to do conversations like this because I always learn. I'm willing to get my hands and my feet dirty. It's easy to see people on the internet talk about things. You know, one of the things I love about Rev is he does the work. There's a lot of people that talk about social media that aren't actually posting themselves. And posting in all these platforms is hard. Like there is content creator burnout because like it is another job. But when you start doing storytelling, you can do it in a way where it's the same way that I check email every day. It's the same way that I respond to text messages every day. There are certain things that you can do using audio, video, words, and images, creating one video once and distributing it on different platforms. There are ways that you can get your restaurant voice out there. And hopefully somebody that's watching this can get a little bit inspired and start to do video.
Okay.
Video is the key. In my opinion, video is the key.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Rev, so I'm a restaurateur, 60 something years old. I'm lying, I'm 75. I'm 60 something years old, and I want to take that first step. So if there's A, B, C, D on how we do this, how do you get started?
Oh man, I love it when, don't take this the wrong way, I love it when operators tell me, oh, I need to be better at social media. My response in that moment is like, well, if you didn't care till today, why are you going to care tomorrow? And why should you care? If it's not for you, don't do it. Get somebody who does do it, right? If you want to learn it, you'll go learn it. If it's important to you, you'll get better at it every day. Like you'll turn it into a habit like Shawn was talking about. But if it's not your thing and you don't want it to be your thing, then it doesn't have to be your thing, but find somebody whose thing it is, right? I look at it all the time. At Handcraft Burgers and Brew, I don't wash the dishes. That's not entirely true. If I dirty a plate during a photo shoot, I'll go wash it. But my point is like, I don't cook the fries. I don't balance the books. I don't wash the dishes. We have somebody whose jobs those belong to, okay? My job is marketing, right? Chad, my partner, does not post to Instagram because that's my job, right? That's not his job. So if you're not good at social media at this point and you're not like excited to be good about it tomorrow, then don't do it, but find somebody who is. You know what I mean? So I think it's more about recognizing the value and the importance of the channels than are you going to be good at it or not? Because you'll be good at it if you want to be good at it. And if you don't want to be good at it, you won't. You know what I mean? Look, I'm 52. I have a handyman coming here Friday morning to hang photos, like to hang frame stuff on my walls. People are like, at age 52, Rev, you should be able to put a nail into a wall. Nope, I'm not going to learn at this point. I'll just call Matt Ventura and have him come over and put in a wall. But will I create a 90-second Lucas film level TikTok that's going to go live at 7:15 tonight? But I will, because that's the thing I wanted to be good at.
Okay, so I would just imagine that step one is look around the room. Look around the room and see who's walking in the door. See who's walking the door. Am I right, Zev? You can't hear you shake your head, Zev.
Yeah, that's true.
So am I right? How do you identify social media? If social media is good for me, or for my place, and who I should be targeting and how I should be targeting?
Oh, you're asking me?
Yes, Zev.
Please.
Oh, okay. I mean, I've actually done social media for like the past decade. We focus a lot more on ads now, but I think a lot of it is you have to really know your audience. Social media is one way you can actually do that. You can listen, seeing what people are posting about, searching certain hashtags, keywords, and that can actually get you a lot of insight about what your customers care about, where they're hanging out, before you start talking and communicating that, and then you can ensure your content and the things you're putting out there are more relevant.
All right.
I think the first two important places to start, yes, you need to know who your audience is. Absolutely. You need to know who you're speaking to. It's important to realize where in the customer journey social media fits. Okay. Social media, and I'm not talking about digital ads, I'm talking about organic content, is at its best a retention tool. Okay. It's not an acquisition tool. It can be, but it's primarily a retention tool. So all of the content that you're
Explain that.
Acquisition is how I get new guests. Retention is how I get guests to come back. Okay. And nobody follows a restaurant on Instagram unless they've already eaten there or they plan to, which means it's a retention tool. It's not an acquisition tool, right? Which means that the content that you're creating on your social media channels needs to align to retention. So if the content you're putting on your social media looks like an advertisement trying to attract new guests, but I'm already been a guest, you're going to turn me away because I don't want to be advertised to. I want to fall deeper in love, right? So if you know who your audience is, realize that these tools are to get them to fall deeper in love with you and start creating content that aligns to people who have already eaten with you, okay? Now, I'm not saying that Instagram can't be part of the acquisition journey, right? But if I call Fred here and I'm like, Fred, I went to Shawn's restaurant and nobody talks about it, but they have this barbecue breakfast that'll blow your mind, okay? Fred might go to Google or Yelp to see what people are saying. He might want to see where the address is, what the hours are. He's going to then go to Instagram to see if what Rev said is what is representative, which means I told him I had a great time as a guest. He wants to see the guest journey confirmed on social media, right? So again, Instagram in that case was a lagging indicator of interest. And the thing me, the person being acquired, was looking for was the guest experience retention. So know who your audience is and use the tool to deepen the love of your brand. It's not an advertisement for new guests.
So Shawn, is there a formula for the ROI on what the guest check is versus what I'm paying to generate this social media to get a return?
Yeah, I mean the ROI questions, my one of my favorite questions. I actually was speaking at the California Restaurant Show 2 days ago, and a gentleman in the audience was arguing the ROI of social media. And one of my favorite returns of ROI is, instead of looking on the return on investment, it's what's the COI, which is what's the cost of inaction. Like, what is the cost of inaction of you as a restaurant pretending that Facebook isn't important, pretending that Instagram isn't important, pretending that your website doesn't matter, pretending that all of these digital visual tools that are in our pocket, to Rev's point, whether that's acquisition, whether that's retention, whether that's guest recovery, all of those things matter. And I just got back from an amazing trip with my wife. We went to Istanbul for 4 days. I've never been to the city, but I checked every place that I was going to go, not just on Google Maps, but I also checked what they look like on Instagram. I checked what they look like on TikTok, and it confirmed whether that decision that I was making with my wife, because we only had a limited number of breakfast, lunch, and dinner of the places that we wanted to go to. And the better the storytelling, the better the visuals, the more likely we were to actually get to those places. The other example that I have, which is extremely relevant, was I went to the Black Sea with my family, and we decided to only use ChatGPT to find restaurants and to find our hotel. Now, ChatGPT is pulling from a lot of different sources, but it's also pulling from social media. So whether it's from Booking.com, TripAdvisor, Reddit, depending on where it is, we're talking about the Bulgarian Black Sea, and the restaurants that had a stronger social following, more reviews online, those were the ones that were recommended, and they were actually really good restaurants.
Brings up another question. Are we about to see a move from traditional Google search into the use of ChatGPT as a search engine? And is that something an operator should be thinking about?
I don't think people are going to open up ChatGPT and do best tacos near me. That's not going to happen. Do I think people will?
I disagree. People are already doing that.
I think people
are already
ask
that
Google
understand the
what they
power of ChatGPT. 100% are already doing that.
I think that there's context that's important here. And like you said, I use it to help plan a vacation.
Yeah.
I did a road trip in June. That's what I did. Hey, ChatGPT, I'm going on a 2-week road trip to these cities. I'm looking for restaurants like this. Can you help me plot them along the course? That's very different ask than best tacos near me, because the context of my need was pretty intense and it required more than I wanted somebody to do the work. So I think that AI is going to be, restaurants are going to be more used in planning scenarios, not just trying to find the best hot wings in your town.
So Zeb, how do I take my budget and allocate accordingly and hedge that bet?
Yeah, so I think they're separate things. So like if you're putting in ChatGPT, I agree people are definitely doing that, but they might be putting like more specific, like, near me in Philadelphia or something like that. If one way you can remarket, let's say you put that into ChatGPT and your site comes up. You can have a pixel or a tracker from Meta, for example, or Google, or take your pick of another social media platform. You can put something called a pixel that basically tracks that visit and set up an ad campaign on the platform, like let's say Facebook, for example, that shows ads only to people who visited your site or visited that specific page on the site that comes up when people search on AI. And now they'll start seeing ads across Facebook and Instagram, for that matter, with videos, images, different things about your restaurant or specials that you're offering, or different things that may help you acquire that customer or bring them back. Maybe they are already an existing customer, but they didn't know about that special you're running or something like that.
So now we're going from retention to acquisition.
You could do for both, yes.
Well,
I didn't know that before I met you, Rev.
Search is an acquisition channel.
Okay. All right. So back to the restaurateur who's befuddled. Yes, He's not going to do it himself. He's not done it all this time. What does he need to know before he makes a decision on picking somebody to do it for him?
I'm guessing you asked all three of us, so you're going to get three
Yeah,
answers.
if I don't name a name, it's up to them.
I'll tell you this, because I'm a very tactic-based person. It's like, what's the how-to? What's the best practice? What's the next step? I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt, I'm on a Meta creators team, and the Meta team has told us directly multiple times that the most important thing in creating content for social media, specifically to their platforms, is consistency. So if you can post every day, and you can post every day for weeks on end and months on end, great, post every day. If you cannot create content every day for weeks and months on end, do not. If you can only do 3 times a week, do 3 times a week. Whatever you can do, avoiding burnout, like Shawn talked about, and maintaining like the filling the need of what to tell your guests, that's the right amount of time. And that's where you should start. How consistent can you be with this? Because your skill in taking photos will get better. Your editing skill will get better. Your storytelling will get better. You know, as Shawn would probably tell you, he's like, just push the button. You know what I mean? Like, the quality is not as important. It's the consistency.
Okay. Now, are we talking consistency 3 times a week or Monday, Wednesday, and Friday?
What can you do? What can you do consistently?
So it doesn't make a difference when you do it 3 times a week, as long as it no specific day, just do it 3 times a week.
If you could do 10 posts a day, every day from now to the end of the time, do that. If you can't, do 10 posts a week. If you can't do that, do 10 posts a month. What I'm saying is pick the consistency that you can be consistent with. Now, is it better to go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday versus Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturdays? Yeah, it's better to space them out, but still, it's more important to build the consistency muscle than anything else.
So guys, also, where does this sit versus a loyalty program generated off of a POS system? In other words, what's the relationship between what I'm doing out of my POS data and what I'm getting out of my social program?
Crickets.
Well, trying to understand the context of the question.
Well, the question is, in other words, I get a note out of my POS that tells me that Rev's birthday is next Friday. Every year I send Rev a card, come in and have a free drink, have a free dessert, et cetera, et cetera. That's generated out of my POS. What I'm asking is, how do I marry that with this social media program that I want to institute and grow? Or do I need it?
Shawn, do you have an answer for that?
I mean, the answer is you need it all. It's, that the simple answer, like, I don't think it's a question. Back to the cost of it. What is the cost of not telling your story on video on whatever platform? Like, I really don't give a shit if it's TikTok, if it's Snapchat, if it's Facebook, if it's LinkedIn. Like, all I care about, Rev talks about tactics, and I love his tactics because it's actually gives someone a recipe. But I've been doing this for long enough, and I've talked to enough restaurant owners. I've talked to the best of the best, people that literally get media deals, brand deals. They have 3 phones. They run their restaurant. They actually make more money doing social media content than they actually make running a restaurant. What I can tell you is that the cost of inaction, if you're here, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, if you decide, to Rev's point, I love that point that, like, if you don't want to do it, great, don't do it. But washing dishes, is that important to your restaurant? You have a dishwasher? You need to have someone that is in charge of storytelling. And if you, the owner, aren't in charge of storytelling, someone in your business better start telling the story of your business, or the other burger place down the shop, or the other barbecue place down the shop. They're going to figure out whatever the next platform is. And that's the truth. And the AI, whether it's Perplexity, whether it's Gemini, whether it's Google search, all of those things, they're just scraping the internet for more stories and more context. So if you don't think it's important in 2025, what do you think is going to happen to your restaurant in 2027? Like, you need loyalty, 100%. You need a great website, 100%. You need online ordering. You need third-party delivery. Like, you need to have these things if you want to run a modern restaurant. If you want things to go back to the way they were, I'm sorry to tell you, but they're just not going backwards.
Can you expand on that, Zev?
Oh, I didn't hear Zev. I just heard, can you expand on that?
Oh, can you expand?
Yeah, so I agree with both points that were made, especially what Shawn was saying about how you really need to have, it's not something you always quantify exactly, like telling your story and showing up every day. But I think it's, in a qualitative sense, there's limited attention that people have. And if you're not being on these relevant platforms and actively showing up, you're going to lose to someone else who is. As far as how often you should post and all of this, I think you can really do a lot of pre-planning. And with just having, it doesn't even have to be someone super professional, but somebody who can just take some photos. It's not a high production quality either. You could just literally take your iPhone and video and put it up on stories every day, and maybe just auto schedule 2-3 posts a week just to keep people engaged. I mean, on the organic side of things, just as long as you are showing up and staying on the radar. And I agree that consistency is more important than how often, but if you could also do frequent with consistent, that helps too. And each platform, you have to know the nuances. Like Facebook, you might not want to post as often as, say, Instagram stories. Each one has its own kind of nuances of what the algorithm likes.
Okay, so I have another question. So you make a video. How long should the video be? How long should the little blurb be that you put out every day if you're doing,
And
5
more
a week?
importantly, what's the message in that video?
Yes.
Yes, so that it all really depends on the context. If your video is being shown to like an engaged follower, you can definitely go longer. There are people who have brand shows, like episodes and things, podcasts. If it's somebody that it's like an ad or it's an acquisition phase, you have like 3 seconds to basically grab their attention, and that first time they're going to experience you, they probably don't want to be there longer than 20 seconds. So it really depends on like where this content's going. Some other things, like in terms of captions and stuff like that, generally longer form, if it's organic, is good because drops down longer, takes up more of the screen, and it makes them scroll a little bit longer, which signals to the algorithm, rightly or wrongly, that they're spending more time on your post, which makes your post seem more relevant, so they'll show your content more often. But it's very nuanced with like the context.
Okay. Listen, guys, we're getting near that time where we have to start thinking about the end. So what I want to do is thank Ed Flanagan and ERA one more time. Like I said, it's not what you make, it's what you keep. Call Ed Flanagan and the ERA group, and they're there to help. What I'm going to do is go around the room, and I'd like each person to give just a little tidbit, something to stick in the listener's mind so that they think about social media and maybe think about you. So Shawn, why don't you start?
Sure, I'll end with what my grandfather taught me, which is to stay curious, get involved, and ask for help. Curious people are going to find this podcast. They're going to find this content. They're going to listen to it. And the next step is actually getting involved. It's actually taking some of the advice and getting uncomfortable, because what we didn't talk about, how uncomfortable it is to talk on video in the beginning. Talking on camera, if it's not for you, you got to find somebody that can talk on camera. You got to find somebody that is willing to make the videos, but you got to do the work. And then finally asking for help. There's so many people that are really good at social media, that are in your neighborhood, that might be in your restaurant, that might be on your staff, that might be the son or the daughter or the uncle of somebody that is just really good at visual storytelling. And they get it, but they don't know that you are prioritizing social media. They don't know that you're hiring for a social media position. Like, there are so many different ways that you can do it, but if you don't ask for help, like I said, the cost of inaction, this isn't going away. This is only going to get more complicated. It's going to get more tactical. Each platform, you're going to have your own person that's managing each different platform. I mean, some of the best restaurants, they treat YouTube separately than they treat TikTok, separately than they treat Facebook. Like, we're not saying that here, but the answer is like, ask for help. There are people that know what they're doing, that can give you good advice, that can start you on your journey.
Who? Okay. Shawn, who should they reach out to?
Anybody on this call. You can reach out to
good.
You can reach out to Zev. You can reach out to me.
Got it.
Weirdly don't reach available. Out to me, folks. Don't reach out to me.
Reach out to me. I'm weirdly available. You can follow me on Instagram at Shawn P. Walchef. I am happy to answer. I'm happy to give you Rev's cell phone number. You can call him directly. He is available 24/7. While he's on a roller coaster, he will answer your social media calls, talk to you tactically about how to post an Instagram story and add a caption. He's your guy.
Rev, isn't it great to have friends?
This is why I write ebooks, so that people can get that content when I'm on the roller coaster.
Okay. Zev,
yeah, it sounds.
Give that tidbit.
I think we could start the ultimate social media firm, Shawn, Zev, and Rev. It sounds like it has a good ring to it. I think that if you're trying to grow on social media, as they both said, like, try to get as many people as you know involved. Like, social media is primarily an engagement tool, as I forgot I think Rev said that earlier. They're not just gonna know to go look for it. it. So and another thing I would say that kind of accelerate your growth is team up with people who already have eyeballs and the attention graph. So people with bigger following who are complementary to what you do. Doesn't necessarily mean paying an influencer. That helps, of course, and all that, or ads. But I mean just co-signing with other local businesses, for example, that kind of align to the same audience or brand and or a little bit bigger. Go on podcasts, go on, do collaborative posts on Instagram with people who have bigger followings. That'll definitely it'll siphon off some of the attention to you.
Rev.
Man, it's easy going last in this crowd because I can just say ditto. But yeah, I echo what Zev and Shawn said here. Really, like, get help. Like, if it's not your thing, but if you've at least recognized it's important, just go get help. You're like I said, I don't wash my dishes in the store and I don't balance our books. We have people who that's what they're good at. I happen to be good at media and marketing. So again, if you recognize it's important, go get help. The other thing I would say is a lot of the questions that were asked here today were questions about motion. Okay. And I think what Shawn, Zev, and I are talking about are being in action. And being in motion and being in action are not the same thing. Being in motion is talking, planning, understanding, learning. Being in action is doing. And you can't be in both unless you're in action, because you can be learning as you're in action, but you can't be in action while you're in motion. So just start doing it. What time to post? How long should something be? What's in the caption, the hashtags? I don't know. Figure it out tomorrow. How about just post today and then post tomorrow and then look at your results over the course of a week and go, what can I do better? And then a month, then 90 days, etc. Get into action, get out of motion.
Thank you guys. Fred.
Eye-opening. I think it's great. Thanks. Thank you, guys. Appreciate your sharing the time.
Yes,
Thank you, guys.
I see a second session coming up out of this, but a couple things I have to comment on. When it comes to the get help, if I were a leopard, I've tried to change my spots so many times, and the reason why I didn't seek help at the beginning was my ego.
Yep.
And my ego has gotten me to where I am today because I think I could do anything. And my ego has also held me back, i.e., trying to do everything with the virtual breakfast session myself doesn't work. Editing to me is like crazy, so I can't do it. And we have someone else doing it now. And Fred has been pushing me all for 2 years now to let's do this. And I wanted to do it myself. Hey, I didn't listen to my URL from my own website. My URL is Plan, Act, Grow. Okay. It doesn't say plan, think about it, do this, do that. Plan, act, grow. And if you don't plan, act, grow, like you said, you're nowhere. So guys, thank you for that information. We're going to be back next week, and we hope to see you again. That's it. Well, everybody, I just have 2 more things to say. Everyone, stay positive, test negative. See you next week. Bye now.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rev. Thanks, Zev. Thanks, Shawn.